I'm Eleanor Schiltz, and you're watching the Jam interview.
So, what's your story?
My story. I am born and raised Canton, Ohio, lived here all my life. I went to school around here, made friends around here, and I've always loved art. That's just been like the one constant thread, I think, in my life. And I started becoming more serious about art when I was maybe 12, 13. Started taking lessons from 75-year-old guy. He did oil, like classical traditional oil paintings
Yeah.
in his attic of his house.
Okay. All right.
And so I started taking lessons from him when I was in like 7th grade. And he was basically the guy who inspired me to just do what I love, paint, create for the rest of my life. I saw him every week, 2 hours a day, and we just became best friends. And I had always had in like the back of my mind, like, maybe I want to do art in college. Maybe I want to continue this. I don't know. I was thinking about like going to vet school, becoming a biologist. But seeing him, and he was, he had done 2/3 of his life was dedicated to art.
Right.
And I was like, I think I should do this instead. And he was the happiest guy in the world. And so that's why I chose to just really continue with that and do it in college. And now here I am.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what kind of, I guess, that was pretty good inspirational, I guess, in terms of how you got into
Yeah,
art.
how I got here.
What about those that don't have that inspiration yet? What kind of advice would you give them?
People who maybe like are already like thinking creatively or want to like get into art or
Yeah, they're kind of hot and cold about it, maybe.
yeah. I don't know, because that's always been like the struggle for me is like, if I want to do this, I have to be good at it and I have to dedicate my entire life to it. Like, for me, it was I'm either going to be an artist or it's like all or nothing.
Okay.
But I guess just looking and finding in like everyday life what sort of sparks your interest and what makes you look a little bit closer. And I'm not saying like just art, but maybe it's like a music video that you really like, or
Yeah.
there's a song that you just like keep on playing. And if you have even just like the littlest like urge to create something based off of something you've already seen or a thought you've had, I say just like go for it. Just get out your sketchbook or notebook or just like write stuff down. That has been the biggest struggle for me, is just writing stuff down when you think about it.
Right.
Because that's like, I feel like that's half the, struggle is actually just sitting down and doing something.
Right. Yeah. You said you were. You kind of like. What do you? The advice you were given in terms of what do you look at, like with great interest or in like the particular parts of things. Like what kind of inspiration do you look at, or what kind of mediums or media do you look at in terms of, I guess, what inspires you to create?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, it's like the people around me most of the time, because I try to surround myself with, other creative people. And, sometimes it's like, oh, you get a little jealous of like, oh, their art looks so good. But having people around who are creating and, hi,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
fine.
sure.
Just seeing other people make art makes me want to make art.
Right.
Because it's hard to like look at someone on like your Instagram feed. I follow way too many artists on Instagram, for example, and I think it's almost like sensory overload sometimes with how much art there already is and how many artists you can follow. And everyone's always talking about like, ooh, what's your style? You know, what's your aesthetic? What's your like, what do you do? But I think when I get like closer to like in myself and seeing what really makes me happy and what's inspiring just me alone, I feel like that's when I make the best art instead of trying to like copy what other people are doing, because everyone wants to be famous these days. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to like blow up online and
Yeah.
get their work shown everywhere. But I think if you're focusing too much on that, your artwork's just not going to be good at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
What makes you happy?
ooh, really asking the big questions.
Yeah. That's what I do.
Yeah. I don't know. Recently, like going back to college, and I go to college in Boston, so totally different state, totally different city, and just totally different atmosphere in general. Like if I had gone to Cleveland, I feel like I would have felt like that was closer to home, just the people and, the vibe of the place. But I think living in somewhere so different has made me realize that, like, the people back home make me happy. And, like, just Canton itself makes me happy because it's small and it's, everybody. And everyone's just friendly here.
Yeah.
And I found that just interacting with the people you meet on the street, at my job,
Yeah.
makes me happy, honestly. Because I'm realizing that, like, everybody has their own story,
Right.
and no one story is better or more interesting than the next. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just small town makes me happy, I guess, in a way.
Do you see yourself coming back after you graduate?
Maybe for a little bit.
Okay.
I think I want to do some stuff here and, make artwork that I've always wanted to make artwork based on, my home, and the places I've seen, the places I've gone, just around town. And I think there's such like a beauty in that I need to explore a little bit. But I want to live in the big city. I want to live back here. I want to live, out in the woods eventually. So I'm open to living pretty much anywhere as long as I'm comfortable and happy.
Okay. So it sounds like you want to kind of venture out and then kind of bring those experiences back with you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds pretty cool. What kind of challenges are you facing right now in terms of creating art?
I think it's like work art balance. Honestly, it's like I shouldn't say everybody. I shouldn't making like sweeping generalizations, but I think a lot of artists want to get to the point where their art is their income,
Right.
and that they don't have to worry about bills, where their money is coming from, because they know someone's going to buy their next piece.
Right.
Someone's going to buy their next 50 pieces that
Right.
you haven't even made yet. I think that, and then also just not being afraid to fail and to like screw up just terribly
Yeah.
on a daily basis. I think
Okay.
that's what I need to focus on, because I'm just so particular about like creating the next big piece that I don't allow myself to just like really just suck for a while
Yeah.
and then finally realize that something's clicking and go from there.
I guess how do you how do you do that on to remind yourself to do that on a day-to-day basis? Like, do you leave notes for yourself?
I should do. I always thought about like, in those like old movies, like the teen movies where they have like a whole wall of like Post-its or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think practically always carrying a sketchbook,
Okay.
always sketching, doodling, always having, my hand busy with that and my brain busy. And being, not being afraid to make a mess, because I'm a painter, but
Okay.
I'm an oil painter mostly. And sometimes you can get really, really, tight and really refined with the oil painting. And it'll feel like if you mess one thing off, it's like you're going off the highway completely and you just took a wrong turn. And
Yeah.
but I think I need to realize that putting one color down that isn't the right shade, or doing something that I think looks bad maybe will be better for me in the long run. I don't know, you know.
Okay. Trying to find the perfection in the imperfections.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Or the beauty in the imperfections.
Yeah.
Is, I guess, the more general.
Yeah. Have you ever seen like
general
hyperrealism paintings?
Yes. Yes.
Like, I always thought like, oh, I would love to do that one day, but you make like one painting a year, pretty much.
Okay. So
one
yeah,
painting
that's
every 2 years. Yeah.
because it's a detail at a time, right? Okay.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I can do that, and I don't know again if that would make me happy. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for interviewing me. Interviewing with me.
Yeah, of course.
If you want to interview me too, that's fine. But
we can do one with you later.
right.
Don't.
But yeah, thank you again.
Yeah.
And
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Keep jamming.